further back, one more try. Shabao is getting a bit tight, but he's well clear. Dr. Drill from the back of the field. Kalorni going after Shabao, but Shabao's in front. Kalorni knuckles down, but he can't get there, and Shabao goes all the way to beat Kalorni.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. This show is brought to you by puntingform.com.au and TopSport. Scoots away, Nico here in the host chair. He has had a baby this week, him and his partner Alana. So well done to them and congratulations. Me and DK are here though, holding down the fort.
Hi, Nico.
Big week coming up.
Welcome to the world, Piper Joy Heathkid, I think it was, yes.
Yep, so congratulations to them.
Little girl, so huge. Nothing better than being a girl dad, mate. I've got a little girl, Avery, and she's an absolute ripper. She keeps me on my toes, but she's a beauty, so really good. Nothing better than being a dad, Scoot. First time dad for Scoot, so really good. He's a bit of a shock to the system this week, I think, but sounds like it, but he'll be right.
Projectile spew.
Yeah, all that. I don't miss all that sort of stuff. It gets easier as they get older, but no, mate, it's a great experience. As I said to him the other day, it's a day you'll never forget when your first child's born, or any child's born, really. But right in the midst of lockdown, but they're doing well, so all the best to him and Alana for sure.
Big week coming up. Group racing in 3 states this weekend, so we've got a big show. There's a big week of trials also here in Victoria. I think that was probably the key point. I think we had 20 jump outs at Flemington. We had Cranbourne trials where there was 25 trials. There was just plenty happening on that front.
That's really spring's in the air. That's when you notice them when the good horses start coming back. I mean, it's a little bit of a tricky time on the punt. So many horses resuming, but it's also exciting because a lot of young horses for me, but they're all trialling, jumping out, and things like that. So it's been a little bit quiet for me personally because they're all turning up to the races either first start or first up, and I prefer to have a look at them. But trial judges like yourself who specialise in that sort of stuff. Nico, I bet you good. You would have had a good look at Monday at Cranbourne.
Big look at Monday at Cranbourne. I thought Argentia and Portland Sky. Argentia, she's had one start, of course, out of Princess Cope, that great mare, sort of going back a few years now. I think she's favourite for the 1,000 Guineas at the moment, so she does look like she's in for a big spring. Portland Sky went well. Ayrton, Artorius were there as well.
Having a stretch of the legs, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a real heavy track at Cranbourne. So if you haven't got to it yet, punters, definitely go back and watch those trials, even those Flemington jump outs. There's plenty to take out of them. Big meeting at Geelong where there's plenty of first starters. If you want to be doing your maiden form, you've got to be ripping right into those trials.
Spent the whole afternoon doing it yesterday. Don't worry about that. Just speaking of Portland Sky, that maiden horse, not maiden horse, he's won a race or two, that horse. But it just shows you how they can improve. He looked good to me. That rattle and bang. Like, I mean, I think he won a maiden at Warwick Nabil.
Yep.
And he'd always shown something, and he just was struggling to pace himself his first couple of starts. But I know it was pretty flashy, but he ran some time, and he looks progressive.
Well, he's going with him. It's usually pretty good work if you can go with
he's a class 1 horse going with a group horse, but he's just a horse who's just learned to pace himself. I thought he was interesting there. So, how wet was that track?
Oh, I would say at least a 9.
It was a 9, was it? Yeah.
Maybe wetter. It's usually pretty wet, that Cranbourne track, no matter what. So, definitely that outside track as well. They've got a few tracks going there on the grass.
Yeah, that's another very interesting thing there, talking about that, because yesterday's track was a good 3. So there's going to be a quandary. Horses coming off heavy tracks onto firmer surfaces. It's going to be something I have to deal with again the next couple of weeks. Very interesting because that, again, it's not apples to apples. It's different. And particularly they can have hard runs on those really heavy tracks, and they can struggle to sort of bounce back onto the dry ground. And I saw yesterday the trainers, they're scratching. They scratch their horses again, Nico. I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, we had 3 runners in a race yesterday at Sandown. It's just, I suppose, the horses that were running at Sandown, they really, week in, week out kind of horses. I think the whole thing with race 3 week was a lot of the trainers, over your 58 maideners. You look at Geelong tomorrow, there's nearly 6 emergencies in every race. I think that's where they were saying the backlog's going to come, not necessarily in the metro area.
No, because the metro didn't miss any racing.
Pretty much. So the backlog was definitely going to be in the provincial, and we're seeing that at that Geelong meeting, at Sale. Like, there's definitely huge numbers in those meetings.
And there's also that Orf Weidenshausen. Like, he's a dead set wet tracker. Now, he was expressing the market and got beaten 15 lengths. So, in hindsight, his trainer maybe should have scratched or not run, but he's run
5s out to 17s or something.
Because it was a good 3, and he's a heavy tracker, So, but yeah, no, plenty. There's you don't. And when the problem is too, when running their horses in the, you want to be running and getting some prize money or something. Otherwise, you end up in that ballot this time of year. You won't be getting a run. That's it's very tricky for them. They're debuting their horses. They've really got to debut with intent. Because you want to debut and run a nice 7th, 6th or 7th, you're going to have trouble getting that second start, I tell you, this time of year.
Yep, big week coming up. I feel it's a big month for you, DK. The DK out wide hasn't really been doing too much recently because those first up trials. There's a big meeting at Geelong though.
Yeah, I hooked into those. We'll get into Geelong, and they're all, it's all first starters, first streamers, expensive first, like all the good camps and everything. So for me, that's not my service. My service isn't tipping debutants. It's not tipping first uppers off trials. That's me. There's other services who do that. If you want to back first starters, first uppers, you go and get that stuff, or add it to the stuff you do with me or whatever. I mean, you're good at trials, and so is your brother, but it's not my wheelhouse. I prefer to see them have a run, get that intelligence of what they do on their debut and what the SP was. What you guys and what the market thinks, how they'll go on debut. I mean, I was telling you before. I said one the other day. Bloke asked me, do you think this horse has got a hope? And I said, I didn't like its trials at all. Well, it was 7 into 460 and should have won. So it's just not my wheelhouse. But yeah, once they come on, once I see them have that run, give them this is the sort of race that it'll suit it. A mile maiden, or if it's 1400 metre, or this will get to town, or this is on its way to the Derby, stuff like that. Things will really warm up. So yeah, it's been quiet, but I mean.
You can't force it.
I can't force it.
You can't force it.
It's worked for me for what I'm doing, and I don't want to change what I'm doing. So, look, well, hopefully, I think there might be a bet today at sale. We'll see what that pans out tomorrow. But the beauty of racing here is they're racing every day, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Anyway, and what about you, Nico? What about see Chabal? Is a good way to start the weekend. Flemington there, Preble just owning that race, just
straight to the front,
trot and canter in front, and
it was a bit that last 30 metres. I was a bit on the edge of the seat. He was probably always going to win, but Coloni made it close. So I think got within a half head. But yeah, Preble just owned the race like I kind of thought he was going to. There was a big jockey upgrade there, and got the cash there. Also back the astrologist on the yard stuff. So that was a good result later in the day.
That's good, boy. If he's coming, he's deep into his prep, and he's still presenting his best from the yard, sort of thing.
Well, that was the thing. These kind of races this time of year, I would love to be on track and be able to watch these horses, but I feel like I'm adjusting to watching them all on the TV. And like ASAR was really fresh. Auto Command didn't walk that well. And when you can sort of pen a few of those inside the market, well, it kind of left me with the astrologist. I was kind of keen on Banquo. He just showed himself up as a complete cat there on Saturday.
Yeah, he's done.
But the astrologist got back out to $6. ASAR at $4.60, and the way he paraded, I just thought, I can't be with him. This is an opportunity to be against, these fresher horses and go for the horses that are fit, and got the cash.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And that's this time, that's sort of probably the last meeting where you can sort of side with that theory. Because now the class,
sad day all with fresh blood.
The class of the fresh blood now have an edge against those horses have been spinning around in the winter months. So it's just a changing time of year, but we speak about it all the time. But we'll be right. We've I've seen it many years now. So you sort of know what to expect this time of year, and just looking at the fields on the weekend and the maidens tomorrow at Geelong, it's a lot of fresh, bit of classy stuff coming through, Nico.
Speaking of this weekend, on today's show, we'll be previewing the races for Saturday at Morphettville. It's Spring Stakes Day. We've got Beat the Bagman. Shane Adair is going to be joining us. And
match race over there.
Huge race over there. Bo Rossa v Behemoth. So
little Delisam there is a little out wider one as well. Third pick.
We'll also be previewing Caulfield. Me and DK will be going through that. We'll look at the Quisette and the Vane Stakes, speaking a bit of fresh blood with the 3-year-olds there. And then Mark Lambourne, Racing Morant, he's going to be joining us for the Kembla Grange meeting. Up-and-coming stakes.
Yeah, standalone meeting up there. Without a pop-up race, without a standalone, without $1 million race. What's doing Volandis? He'll find something for that. He'll find some sort of race for 6-year-old mares or something to $500,000 to throw there next year.
So we'll have to get the update from Mark while we're at Kembla, but nonetheless, and we've also got DK out wide. You got something for us at Geelong, DK. Let's rip right into it.
We'll have a look. There's 5 races there, so there's one sort of race which we can have a look at.
Race number 5 here from Geelong is a 1,200 metre maiden. Looking at the market, getting it up here, Renova is the horse we're keen on, DK. She's sitting at the second line of betting, though, because Bedekin is our favourite at $2.50. Renova, $2.80 and held her price. Veracilla, the first starter there at $5, or the first up, I should say, the first emergency also. And then Runaway River there at $10. We're going to look at the last start replay of Renova. This is going back a while, but this was her debut run.
Debut run at
and Pakenham. This was a big run.
She's in the black. She's in the black hat there, sort of laying in behind the pink one. She's a bit green on debut. Gets the outside here, whipping the left. John McNeil, this was on this day. Once she took her a while to balance up, but once she just again didn't know what she was doing here. But once she so she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's been able to savage the line, not knowing what she's doing now. Another stride, she wins, so she arguably shouldn't be a maiden. If you go 100 metres past the line, then she's 3 lengths in front of those other horses. So, so she went to the paddock again after that. She's taken a lot of time. She's trained by the Hawks. They were quite patient with their horses. She's now a 5-year-old mare, I think, but this is a 4-year-old Nova race, so that doesn't really matter.
5-year-old mare with Team Hawks. If she had no ability, she wouldn't still be there, would she?
And why resuming for the spring too? I mean, why resume this time of year if you haven't got a talent? So she obviously had some sort of issue because she goes back and forth between their John and Julian Welsh's. So she has both times she's had a trial down with Julian Welsh. So he's a sort of more on behaviour, but she trialled jumped all right at Flemington. She looked a bit sharp at this prep. She's been up the front in a couple of the trials. She led the one at Cranbourne the other day, even though she's not a leader. So I reckon she's a better chaser. So I just think with a bit of maturity, she draws well to camp sort of off the speed. The speed looks all right here. That Burdican is a Go Waterhouse horse coming down here, but it's resuming of a very long spell. Throwing the blinkers on it, gelded it. Not sure it's got a lot. It'll be up the front. Ben Mellon will have to drive it forward from gate 1. Look, it'll be up the front. I'm not sure it's got a lot of change-up speed. So I just thought it might be able to set a nice tempo if Renova can get out and go straight. If she can let go like she did at Pakenham, she can round it up. But she's no spoil in the price at the moment. The other chance in the race was Versilia. I think the Danny O'Brien thing. Gets Craig Williams, but he did take it to Moe on debut, and I don't know about Danny O'Brien's taken all his nice horses to Bendigos and Geelongs, but he was happy to take that horse to Moe, and it was very green at Moe. He didn't get around the turn. Look, it'll go better on the bigger track, but it's drawn the car park. It's got some chance. But I just thought Renova, with that turn of foot, natural improvement, one prep to the other, she could come chasing and round up Burdick. Yeah.
I remember seeing her at Pakenham that night. I was there working and thought I ended up backing her actually just out of the yard. She's a bit of an imposing type. I can definitely see why they've kept her around because she goes on and wins the race. I imagine she'll make a pretty nice broodmare. So there was definitely a bit of quality about her that night. So hopefully she can bring that to tomorrow and be a winner.
So she's obviously taken plenty of work and things like that. But I just like the way she hit the line and not knowing she like as soon as Joe McNeil asked her there, she wanted to go left and things like that. But instead of and Dean Holland's, I've done all the trials on this prep. So we saw a horse of theirs resume the other day, that Hong Kong horse at Pakenham on Ballarat on Tuesday.
Polly
on the Polly. Well, Fred Kearsley just rode it like it had 5 links on them, and it did have 5 links and it had panels on them. So look, they're bringing back all their nice horses this time of year as well. It's just me. I just think horses off long spells can be quite a bit ring rusty. So 456 days for that second, or the favourite there can be.
He's drawn 1. They're going to bang him out. He might have to do a bit of early work to hold him off.
Typical gaze. A couple of others might roll forward, and then Renova can just park him behind him. It's just as long as it gets its manners and everything right. But I think that extra tempo, like the gay horse won't muck around, and that'll help. Like they went pretty slow at Pakenham. That's probably why she over-raced a little bit and did a bit wrong. But I think there'll be a more genuine tempo here. And gaze, I find gaze horses this time of year always benefit with a run. So I think it'll benefit with the run. So I was happy to sort of go with Renova there.
All right, DK, that's race 5 there for the punters. Horse number 11, Renova, currently $2.80 with TopSport. So if you want to get involved there, make sure you're doing your wagering with TopSport. We got Beat the Bagman coming up here on Bet Doctor. We're going to be previewing Morphettville Spring Stakes Day. Make sure you're also heading to puntingform.com.au. Me and DK use it. It's the absolute grouse. New barrier, lane statistic, and also trainer and jockey data is available there. They got everything built in. Last 600, 400, 200 metre sectionals, everything you need is at puntingform.com.au, so make sure you check them out. Welcome back to Beck Doctor. Time to have a look at Morphettville here with DK. Scoot's obviously away, so Bagman's still joining us though, so the team's still together somewhat. Big meeting this Saturday from Morphettville, Spring Stakes Day. Shane, how are you?
Good, guys. Yes, the team is still holding up in one piece. Congratulations to Scoot if he's watching this too on Little Piper arriving into the world. Yeah, as you said, fantastic weekend of racing. The Spring Stakes run in winter, but it's a little taste of the spring action coming your way, I'd say, in a few weeks' time.
Now, just before we get into the racing, Bagman, can we please have a new health officer or something over in your neck of the woods, please? What is going on? making these Olympic athletes do another 14 days. They've already done 14 days in Sydney. They come to bloody Adelaide, they've got to do another 28 days quarantine. Is that the same lady who said you couldn't touch the footy or something? Is that someone making these decisions?
Yep, that's St. Nicola. She's very popular here in South Australia.
Very popular.
She couldn't do a thing wrong at the moment. So if she did 280 days quarantine, I think the public would still love it over here. She's a very popular figure.
All right. There you go.
It's a bit of politics on the show.
Oh, I couldn't believe
That's
that when
right.
I read it last night. I could not believe it. Anyway, get into the racing. Back to the racing. Sorry about that.
Well, we've got a big card from Morpheville this Saturday, and we're going to start off in race number 1. This is where Bagman's first tip's going to come at heat 1 of the Rebel Raider series. Looking at the TopSport market, Keep Reading is our favourite. $2.10 currently from Exceed Expect. $4.60. Ballaroot there at $5, and then we're looking at Hanaby there at $6 as well. Keep Reading is the horse that we're going to have a look at that in this replay in the price of bloodstock colours, the red, white and blue there for the punters. Bagman, talk us through it.
Yeah, this was Keep Reading's last start victory. Very impressive this day. Was heavily backed into a very short quote and paid the punters back with a very, very soft victory. I think it will only be improved by this run. You go back to its debut start behind Taunting, which currently holds a nomination for the Cox Plate and Caulfield Guineas. It was very respectable behind that. Michael Hickman has a very strong opinion of Taunting. It's made a mess of him this day, Keep Reading. I think from that gate, can either lead or just sit outside the leader, and with the rain-affected track should plough through that and get us away to a good start. I think that $2.10 won't last much longer.
No, it won't last much longer because is Commands the Field already out? Or whatever this, what was that?
He's Exceptionals out.
He's Exceptionals out. Well, Exceed and Expect is running today at Sale. So it's coming out as well.
Oh,
so Bazuston's both coming out. So it's going to be odds on. What a pest. Well, it did set Bazuston. Like, what a digger's rest. Take 2 horses, accept 2 horses there and scratch them both. What's today? Thursday, without any intention of running. And now Bagman's horse is going to be $1.70 or something. And his strike rate's falling through the ground as we go by the days. But anyway, there you go. So yeah, no, I don't think it'll be 2.10 Bagman because Exceed and Expect I can see he's in race 8 today at Sale. It's 2-1 chance with TopSport or something. So.
Sounds like our man Jakey Toroke though from the gate. He's just going to keep out of trouble. Maybe the punters can get entertained at the even shorter price.
Yeah, with a 3-horse field, I hope he can stay out of trouble. That's for sure. If he can't, there's problems. But yeah, as we said in a few episodes, deductions and dual acceptors, it's the bane for punters these days.
Is it what?
Hopefully with spring racing coming back, we don't see too much of it, but in these lower class races you are going to see it. But yeah, Keep Reading there for Bagman. Maybe expect a bit of a shorter price, but maybe one for your multis there, punters with TopSport. Yeah. Let's get to the feature event here. The Spring Stakes, race number 6. Gee, it's a hot contest. Ironclad unfortunately came out for our man Eagle, so hopefully we get to see him sort of in the next few weeks. A little setback there. Market here with TopSport. Behemoth is your favourite here, punters. He's been $1.95 out to $2.05 currently. Bo Ross at $2.60. Darlasan's there at $6.50. Second Slip, speaking of double acceptors, he's one of them, $16. And then Perfect Route, $26. Looking at the replays here, we're going to have a look at Bo Rossa and Behemoth. First off, we'll go with Bo Rossa with his race win last start in the Lightning Stakes.
Yeah, this was visually very, very exceptional victory. Just had the, I guess the ownership, same oil rocker there in front in the lead. Bo Ross has peeled off his back and let down like a very, very sharp horse and put him away. This is a lot harder. You can see the horse running into second there, Parlophone. That has a handicap rating of 67, so it'd probably be going around at about 100 to 1, I would imagine, in this race. It's going to have a massive rise in class. We now pass to Behemoth, who had a trial the other day here at Balaclava and was ultra impressive winning this trial. Look, Marcus definitely got it right. There's only, I think, 2 chances for mine. Bo Rossa is definitely short enough, though, at the $2.60. It's going to have to take it to another level. I think Behemoth is probably a better betting option. Fire's first up is multiple Group 1 winner. I'd probably have a little saver just on Darlasan as well, who will want longer than today's trip. But I think around that 650 makes a little bit better bet than Bo Rossa. But there's a couple... in that field, that we see Retrato and Perfect Route, who will all make trips to Victoria, I'd say. And even Worley's Last Chance may be popping over to Victoria. It could be Donald in a benchmark 58, but he may be in Victoria soon as well.
Won last week at 400 to 1 or something, didn't it? And then backs up again this week.
I heard Terry Bailey blowing up about that on he's going. It's Rant Tuesday with TB at the moment. So he had a good rant with Matty Welsh. And one of them was about how much group racing there is, how many listed races, and what quality of horses can run in these races. And as Bagman's saying that was eligible for benchmark 58 or something. And here he's allowed to accept and be a traffic hazard in a listed group race.
Well, lucky he's drawn barrier number 7 and he should stay out of everyone's way.
Yeah, but he looked pretty sharp there, Behemoth, didn't he, in that trial? He just trucked it. Yeah, it's interesting because you've got the up-and-comer versus the proven horse, so always good to see a clash like that.
What do you make of Saturday's track conditions? Either or suited? What are we expecting weather-wise?
How's it going to recover from all that past few weeks, Bagman?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, the track would be severely damaged already after the race being the other week. It was more than a heavy 10. I would have thought maybe if the meeting wasn't based around premierships, etc., it may have been called off. But it's wet. It's currently a heavy 9. The next couple of days are drying, so we may sneak back into the soft range by race day, but it's definitely wet. Bo Ross will be interesting to see how he pulled up from that heavy track run. How much has that taken out of the tank going forward? We've seen Behemoth run on All-Star Mile Day, which was a very heavy track at Moonee Valley, even though it was rated as a soft. I think it can get through the track as well. Might have a fresh edge over Bo Rossa. As you said, it looked good winning a trial. I've got a sucker for some merchandise here. So we've got bit of Sam Lyons, a bit of Will Clarkin. We'll stick with the Sam Lyons this week. So
there it is. Throw it on. That's the camp. That's the corner.
It's a behemoth for us here today, guys.
Sammy will love that.
All right, we're Team Grand there in the Spring Stakes. Behemoth for Bagman, of course, race number 1. Also, keep reading. Thanks for joining us, Shane. Hopefully we can get those two home for the punters and have a fill-up on this weekend.
That's the plan, Nico. We'll speak to you soon, guys.
On your Bagman.
This weekend, make sure you're betting with TopSport.com.au. Family operated and owned for 35 years. Bet with a bookmaker you can trust and bet with TopSport.com.au. We're going to have a look at Caulfield now. PB Lawrence Stakes Day. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. Nick Noonan here in the host chair for Scoot, of course.
Doing a good job standing in for Scooty, mate.
Baby duties. DK's here. We're up and about.
Up and about, yeah.
Big meeting from Caulfield. Massive meeting. PB Lawrence Stakes Day. We got the Quazette, we got the Vane, we got the Regal Roller. It's going to be a big card.
Now, always with Caulfield, track conditions and sort of wind there is always interesting. What are you sort of planning for, Nico?
Haven't really had a great look at the wind. Usually that sort of information I sort of look at later in the week. I usually get some smarter information of people smarter than me regarding that stuff. But looking at the track conditions, there's not a lot of rain around in Melbourne at the moment. We had a bit of rain yesterday, but not much sort of the next few days.
Yeah, that was it. And the wind too. So
the track, I think, is currently a good 4. So I think there's a potential that if there is a wind on the day, this track could even be bordering towards a 3, which would be very interesting for a few of these horses sort of first up, what sort of times they run and all those kinds of things. So like we were talking about off the intro, wet form to dry form, there'll be a lot of those sort of factors to weigh up on Saturday.
Good old-fashioned Caulfield meeting, mate. Might be back up the front, which never hurts at Caulfield, does it?
This meeting can typically play that way. One of our tips is hopefully going to lead, so hopefully that will be the case. Let's rip in, though, DK. Right. Race number 6, Vane Stakes over the 1,100 metres out of the chute, and you got the market for us.
I have. I've got the market here, courtesy of topsport.com.au. The favourite is the Kira Ma Resumer Generation of those 2 impressive wins, 320. Ingratiating resuming for Godolphin and Ollie, 370. Then out to General Bow resuming for the Eldon Camp. Frosty, he's $5. Jigsaw, he's the race fit horse getting the blinkers on. He's $5.50. And then it's double figures. Lightsabers resuming. He's interesting. He'll probably want further, won't he? But $15 for him. But he had a very good first prep. And Direct ran well the other day at Moonee Valley. So and there is Cecil Street Lad, who was the controversial horse from last start down at Sandown with the Richard Lemming blow up. So what are we getting into, Nico? What are we having a look at?
We're going to have a look at the replay of Generation. This was his win last start at Caulfield. He's had a bit of a break since then. This was back on the 8th of May. This was a big win, though. sits outside the leader and just shows what he has to offer. He's a very smart colt. This horse, I've been waiting to get back to the track and just look at him in the yard. Of course, that's not going to happen on Saturday, but off the TV, he was an outstanding type looking at him there in May. Thought this was a massive win. Like I said, he's sort of closing figures on punting form. His last 2 starts have been very strong. Gets Jamie Carr here. Interestingly enough, Jamie Carr's rode General Bow in all of his starts. Now she jumps and stays aboard Generation, so maybe a bit of a lean there to who she thinks going better this preparation. He's had 2 jump outs into this one at Cranbourne where he hit the line well. Last start at Caulfield up the hill where he was given a bit more of an ask from the jockey there and really extended late and worked through the line nicely. Look, from barrier number 1, I kind of expected there's a bit of speed here. Jigsaw can probably push forward. I wouldn't be surprised they took a sit General Bow. Sort of what they're going to do on a horse like Direct. Ideal world, J Carr just sends him straight to the front. And I think if she does that, I don't think they'll beat him. Ingratiating's got the blinkers off here. Trialled like he's looking for further than 1,100 metres. General Bow, I'm happy to be against. He was the real sort of flat track bully of the 2-year-olds. He was always a real mature sort of 2-year-old racing through that Blue Diamond sort of form. That's just never a form race that usually stacks up in a race like this. You want to be going with the fresh blood. Generation's that. I thought Jigsaw was way too short at $5.50. He does get the blinkers back on, which he jumped out well in, but I
Don't know about him.
was happy enough to be against him off his last start. I know he was eyeballed and those kind of things, but Direct's sitting here at 18s after beating him home. Yeah, I thought he was definitely the weak spot in the market. I sort of had him closer to $10. General Bow had closer to $8, and $3.20 Generation with TopSport currently. I think that's very generous. I was kind of the opinion he was going to be very hard to beat here. If J Carr sends him straight to the front, could be the M-word punters, I reckon.
Well, what I like, just looking at them, I haven't done the form in depth, but I'm just looking at, so Generation's going to be right there. Ingratiating drawn 8 for Ollie first up.
Blinkers off.
It's going to be
Out the back.
in the Brasco. And General Bow's drawn 7, got decisions to make. Like he's going to work a bit first up or sort of try and conserve. I think so, Generation, looks, and Cecil Street, let us see, he's been big odds in. He's got to go to another level, I suppose, doesn't he? But
he's been 50s into 19s, but I'd be happy laying the 19s if I was TopSport, that's for sure.
No, Ollie's not on it, no one. Anyway, El Curry.
And just with Generation, like he's by Snitzel out of Fontaton. Fontaton was a flying machine around that sort of 1,000, 1,100 metre Caulfield circuit.
It was.
He's well bred. This is a stakes race. I imagine if he can win a race like this, he's going to tackle something a lot bigger in the spring, and it'll just help him from a stallion point of view if they want to look down that track. So I think there's plenty of intent there. First up, you get Jamie Carr. If he box seats, he'll just need a gap. If he leads, he'll win.
All right, well that's the Colts and Geldings in the vein. Now we'll look to the fillies in the Quisette race 7 and market here again, courtesy of TopSport. The favourite is Gimme Par. These are plenty of resumers here. That's Peter Moody and I think Jamie Carr again, $3.90. Najmati, $4.80. Arcaded for Godolphin, $7. Let's move out to High. It's the Gary Portelli horse, $10. Libiamo resuming for the Begs. Sorry, it's had a run. It won the other day. $12. See You in Spring, $13. Sweet Mary and Hearsay, $17. Where are we going here, Nico?
We're going to have a look at the replay of Naj Mardi here in the green and white, just sort of blending into the race. She's out the back at the moment, but you'll see the big turn of foot this filly has. This was in the Reduced Choice Stakes. Can I speak some English here, punters? This was over 1,100 metres as well at Caulfield. So track and trip, she savaged the line on this day. Ran some big late sectionals on punting form. I think her last 600 was around 6 lengths above from memory there. This was a big win. Not much in behind her, but I thought looking at her in the yard that day, she's only going to improve coming back as a 3-year-old. Team Snowden, they're usually pretty good in races like this. They send their sort of better Sydney Colts and fillies down. They've had really good success in the Vane Stakes. They haven't really had a lot of fillies take on this race, but they are a very easy camp to back sort of early in the spring with these kind of horses. She's had 3 trials leading into this.
3.
The last one was against the group class horses. She ran second to Mama Reagan. She beat home Forbidden Love, Harmony Rose, like proper group class horses. None of these other fillies have been jumping out or trialling against horses of that sort of class. Speaking of the other fillies, Gimme Par's our favourite. She hasn't even had a jump out leading into this. So where's she going to be?
And as she had the bandages on, she might still have them on. I see they were on last. And then she doesn't get many runs. She only sort of run, break. She might have some issues, And it's,
well, I kind of thought that, seeing her in the yard first up, I actually backed her to beat Ingratiating. first up in the Talendert Stakes, and she ran a really good race there, and that was purely off the parade. And then I saw her at Caulfield, I think that was in April. So she ran in February, then had that little break to April. It wasn't really like looking at the same horse. The bandages went on there. She was a bit scratchy in her action. I think there might be some underlying issues there. Not 100% sure, but
hasn't had a jump out.
A jump out.
Moody, you always do the Pakenham jump out. So Moody's got half the fields in at the moment.
Might have had a private jump out, which doesn't know plus punters. With the race for a week. But off the information we have to go out, she hasn't had one. So I thought Naj Marty here. I thought you could probably flip him. I think you could mark Naj Marty favourite. She looks ready to go here. 3 trials. I think there's probably only 2 chances. If Gimme Par's obviously got talent, whether she's here to go first up, the market's going to tell you. But yeah, 480 Nad Marty with TopSport, good speed on early. She should be charging to the line.
What about just quickly the out wide horse, the Portelli thing? Craig Williams.
High.
I say it's drawn very awkwardly there in 9.
Led some recent trials by a big space.
Yeah, really?
They're going to send her straight to the front, I'd imagine. So there's 3 horses here that are probably going to look to lead. Her, Chimes, drawn in 6, who led the 1,000-metre Moonee Valley race and was smashing the betting there. And then also See You in Spring, who's drawn wide. So there should be a really good early tempo here.
Suits that Marty, wouldn't it?
She'll just be getting back, smoking the pipe. Johnny Allen, producer to the middle lanes, and hopefully she's too strong. So betting in the Quizette and the Vein, Generation into Naj Marty, think they're both good plays.
All right, there we go. Right, Caulfield anyway, exciting. The resumers and the 3-year-olds and everything. It's good upwards into the spring.
Yep, PB Lawrence is a good race as well. And then the Regal Roller, we might touch on that a bit later with the TopSport Big Bets. There's a bit of action happening there. Make sure you're heading to TopSport this weekend, punters, and doing all your wagering with them. Family owned and operated for 35 years. Bet with a bookmaker you can trust and bet with TopSport. On the other side of this, we're talking to Mark Lambourne from Rant Racing about Kembla Grange. Welcome back to Bet Doctor Punters. DK's here. We're up and about. We're going to be looking at the meeting from Kembla Grange.
Yes, we
Mark
are.
Lambourne is joining us from Racing Rant. Mark, good morning to you.
Oh, firstly, good morning, Nico. And you too, Dan. Any news of Mr. Euphoria?
Oh, he's cleaning up projectiles and things like that. He's getting used to first kid for Nick. So no, he'll be all right. He'll be a shock to the system for him, that's for sure.
I don't know if you remember, Dan, but you feel like you're the most incredible person in the world. Of course, that soon fades, but
yeah, that's right.
the experience of having number one is quite insane.
It is.
Anyway, the experience of backing a winner is also pretty good, and I'm still a maiden as far as Little Birdie is concerned. So I've got a card at Kembla to dissect, and principally the group race on the card, which is the up and coming, which is, I guess it's a sort of, not really a Golden Rose lead up. It's more of a spring champion starting point. And we've got 2 horses there that are returning from the short winter in Brisbane. The top 2 obviously came out of the Sires and the JJ Atkins. And then we've got 3 horses coming out of what I guess is a lead up 1,200 at Rosehill 3 weeks ago, plus a few other bits and pieces. So, look, it shapes as an interesting race, principally because of the conditions of the race and the fact that the class horse, the number 1, the class horse that placed in Group 1 last start and won a Group 2 prior to that, does get J-Mac, gets the weights against him and gets gate 1, which I think in that scenario, if you are looking at what we term the best horse, you'd rather that they're not in that sort of situation. Nonetheless, he's got a great chance, and it's up to J-Mac to do the job. I suspect that Subterranean is a little bit overlooked in the market, coming with the same form lines as Tiger of Malay, Bowman on board, 2 trials, a 1,200-metre trial as well. So he's going to be a little bit further forward than Tiger of Malay and possibly getting a fly while the favourite's waiting for a run. So it's just the current price on offer there for Subterranean is quite valuable, shall we say. And then you look at the 3 from Rosehill and concocted, only having had the 2 starts, Gaybot training, Clark riding will obviously be very prominent in the run. It seems to have more scope, but did run around at 20s at Rosehill and sort of sucked along the fence there. So a chance, but just a chance. The wild card for mine in the race is Brigantine, which returned this preparation a far different horse, far different colt from his first preparation based on his trial at Canterbury. Now, the form is not looking much good. The second horse failed at Newcastle at a short price yesterday, but I suspect this horse has got a bit of scope and a bit of toe, and his price is recommendable at this stage.
Plenty happening in the up-and-coming stakes. DK, barrier number 1 for the favourite, Tiger Malay, your favourite draw.
Oh, yeah. Did you see it at Ballarat on Tuesday? Yeah, the two things, the thing of Cliff Browns and
yep. Maximum pain, that
and,
was.
And Mount Buller, another $2.25, barrier 1. Just coffin, both in the coffin. You were saying, mate, they're both in the coffin from the 600 to the winning post. It was just, anyway, don't we love that
the
coffin?
punters, they don't seem to care at the moment about barrier 1 with Tiger Malay. Looking at the TopSport market for this up-and-coming stakes, he's been $3.20 into $2.45 with James McDonald on board. Concocted's there at $6.50. Subterranean mark expecting maybe to firm up. They're at $7. Coastwatch $8. Bring in T $9.50. And then $10 the rest, headed by Construct. We might as well rename this the China Horse Club Stakes. They got 4 runners in the field, so they have a big impact.
Well, yes, and all of the runners are probably still stretching to recoup their purchase price.
Let's have a look at the replay of Concocted for the punters at home. This was him last start at Rose Hill. Solo Impact wins this race. He was in the early betting for this race at sort of $6. I took that. He was into $3 something, and he didn't end up accepting. So I've done my money.
Beauty.
Absolutely cold there. So I'm looking to follow up somewhere in this race.
There's 4 China Horse Club horses in this race.
So we're yellow cap on the fence, and he just pokes through here late.
Yeah, so Coastwatch has done it tough at this stage, and it's in the blue and white, just fading after making a mid-race move. And Concocted gets up underneath it and Military Expert, I think. It was a nice step up for that Gaybot horse. Obviously, going to 1,300 is ideal, and the fact that he'd come from Hawkesbury to Rosehill at that stage just gives him a little bit of a springboard as well. Eminently likeable as one of the chances in the race. What else did I want to say about the race other than Patton didn't do much in his first preparation, but seems to have returned a lot better. And Construct got the kill at home last week, but Bowman to Atkins. I think Atkins is 3 from 200, so punters won't be rallying to him. Just on the price of the favourite at the moment, I think that barrier 1 will deter big players, and you'll see him get back out to $3 plus in late trading. That's my forecast.
That's good insight.
Yeah, well, TopSport went up that sort of price, so maybe that's the true price, and the early punters have just sort of barred up there and looking into back it. But yeah, barrier number 1, it's never the great spot to be. What do you make of the spot to be on the Kembla Grange track there on Saturday, Mark? It's not a meeting or a racetrack we usually see on the Saturday sort of circuit.
Is this one being moved? This one as a COVID move meeting or something, or they always have the second?
Yeah, this is a Randwick to Kembla, I guess, or it could have been a Rosehill one. Anyway, Randwick couldn't or wouldn't shoulder the load, so we've spread. We took a midweek meeting to Newcastle yesterday and this meeting to Canberra. As far as a track pattern is concerned, we've had 2 feature Saturdays at Canberra, both November Saturdays in the last 2 years. One played up the inside, the other played down the outside. So the rail is out 3 metres. The track is pretty dry. They've put a bit of water on it. That would probably more than likely compromise the inside of shade, but that would just be a preference rather than a projection.
If you want to get Mark's full thoughts, punters, on the meeting, head to Racing Rant, where you can catch the preview with him and Glenn and Gordo. The boys do an outstanding job there. So if you want to get the full thoughts of Mark, head to Racing Rant, and even Glenn's mounting yard, mate. I'm sure he'll be up and about off the TV, I imagine, for Kembla, but he can sure find a few winners. So head to the Rant if you want to hear some more from Mark.
Very good.
Seeing them okay at the moment. We had a shipper up here yesterday that you wanted to ask me about, Dan?
I did, yes. I was buried in doing the Geelong maiden form for tomorrow. I was doing it yesterday, and then all of a sudden a BZ sends me a screenshot message of too much to bear. The thing that won the Grouse Maiden at Bendigo, hitting the line by 2 or 3 lengths, paying $4 something, that made me feel real good. So I was just going to ask Mark about it. I'd say it got the drift in the market. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, Mark, but that was the strongest sort of middle distance maiden we'd probably had this for 6 months up at Bendigo. So it was just interesting it got the drift.
I wish I'd had that insight prior to the race to look at. It was just time off up in distance. And El Magorian, who's just a tradesman up here.
Just tradesman. It was D-Lane to a tradesman, yeah.
But he did meet a weak bunch. He was hard in the market in the Saturday race, but withdrawn last weekend. So I guess he had a lot going for him. The meeting itself was a competitive sort of looking meeting, but certainly favoured horses that were very much up on the speed. I wanted to ask you also, Dan, that when you see those impressive maiden winners, I know you're a maiden specialist. Do you go on with them, or do you just let them go?
Pretty much let them go because I don't know who they're racing against up in class, but like we had one yesterday, one at Sandown Quintello, like it bolted in at Warwicknabeal, and then it was 2 to 1 or 6 to 4 yesterday in town. So generally I'll let them go because it's just they're going to benchmarks. Not specialised in their opposition. And
Mr. Brightside, same thing.
Yeah, Mr. Brightside.
Ken Geelong, then he's gone on to win 2 in town since.
Yeah. So no, I probably should, Mark. It's probably something I could add to my arsenal is following, particularly the ones who have rating really well because I've got a good rating there. But generally I'll let them go.
Yeah, look, it's a tricky territory, isn't it? Even I could spot Quintello there. Warwicknabeal to Sandown sounds pretty good to me. You wouldn't do it in Sydney, but Victoria's full of that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the good camps. Yeah, they'll go anywhere. They'll go anywhere. Yeah, they'll go anywhere. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to Kembla on Saturday, and the other horse of interest on the program that's sort of on a quick rush through. I'm just doing the deep form now, but Mr. Mozart, who is an acceptor for Caulfield as well, in race 4 there, he's just turned 3, so he's up against some older horses there, which is pretty early in the season, very early in the season for those types. So that can be fraught with danger. But this horse just rounded them up ridiculously on debut at Warwick Farm. Then went 11 to 14, admittedly at home, but on a hot rail day, the last day of the carnival at Rose Hill in the autumn, and he sat 5 wide. So this horse is a horse of intense promise, and wherever he goes, Kembla or Caulfield, I'd keep your eye firmly fixed on him.
All right, that's in race number 4 there at Kembla. Mr. Mozart currently 360.
And what's he? Is he in the vein? Is he? He's
in the vein. So okay. Maybe watch him there if he heads to Caulfield as well.
360 in the there it is in the TopSport market. Very good. All right, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully
John's direct from me. How's the homeschooling going, mate? Remote learning, enjoying that?
Yeah, I've just got to get back to the office for the rant preview tomorrow, and I get to bunker down on Saturday as well. So it's a little bit of pain for a bit of gain later on.
Very good.
Well, hopefully you can get off the crease this week on Bet Doctor and get us home with a winner there in the up and coming. Maybe Mr. Mozart also there for the punters. As we said before, head to Racing Arena if you want to get Mark's full thoughts on the program. Thanks for joining us, Mark, and good luck on the punt.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck, guys, to you as well.
Hey, Mark.
Big weekend of racing coming up, punters. Of course, we just had Mark Bagman. He's all over Morphettville. Some good bets at Caulfield. And there's been some early action in the TopSport markets as well, DK.
Big bets, what do we got?
Looking at the big bets here, first of them comes up at Caulfield. Sierra Sue, we've had $500 at 11s, and it's moved the market. She's already into $8. So
is he? Well, she won the Mildura Cup the other day. We rounded them up.
An odd form reference, isn't it? Mildura Cup into a PB Lawrence.
She probably might have gone back there to get some confidence up. She'd sort of been, but she'd been much travelled. Not my favourite camp, as you know, but she's race fit in that race, which can help.
Yep, so she's been 11s into 8s there with the 500. The Inferno goes around in race number 9.
Interesting run it is.
He's had 500 on him at 8.
So he's the Singapore horse at Cliff Brown's.
So the market's moved there. He's into 550. I think he's won 8 from his 9 starts. He was going to go over to Hong Kong, running a Hong Kong sprint. Not all went to plan there. He has a weapon turn of foot. Actually, if you get yourself a punting form subscription, you can go back and look at all these sectionals and data throughout the Singapore, so you can measure him up and those big last 600 metre splits he can put in, I would imagine he'll be charging to the line.
And
there
how's
at
he?
Caulfield on
Have you
Saturday.
seen him jump out of trial?
Good jump outs. They didn't really let him off the leash too much. Looks like there's a bit to give, but looks like he's got a huge engine.
He's
So
an interesting runner. Bloody interesting runner, for sure.
very interesting. Someone happy to part with their 500 early in the week. And then we got a few out wide up at Eagle Farm. Race 6, horse number 4, Dusty Tycoon. We've had 500 at $6 with TopSport. And then Eagle Farm also, race 7, horse number 11, Predictable Miss. $350 at 17s.
I think those Eagle Farms have been some shots landed there in the last couple of weeks of those Eagle Farm early top sport big stuff. So I'll be noting them down.
Maybe something to follow in for the punters. Make sure you are watching the YouTube punters and getting use of all the replays that we went through. If you've listened on the Spotify or the SoundCloud, make sure you follow Bet Doctor on all those platforms. It's been a big show, DK.
We got through, mate. We got through without the leader, but you've done well to go. Well done in the chair there. Thanks mate.
DK.
It's all good.
Hopefully we can find a few winners for the punters at home. Make sure you're doing all your wagering with TopSport, a bet with a bookmaker you can trust there with over 35 years experience, and puntingform.com.au. DK, hopefully we can find a few this week.
Yep.
DK out wide, make sure you're subscribing. I'm tipping
Wodonga.
it's a big month coming up. DK out wide.
At least we'll go Wodonga Saturday. That'll kick us off. We'll be right.
All right, good luck on the weekend, punters, and we'll catch you again soon.